going into the game last night, all I wanted to see was like the next step of offensive evolution where you had the competency thing down. Now can you move and do stuff off of it? And I thought they did. For their first drive, you saw some things that gave you some encouragement. You also saw some things. You saw the I'm in danger.
Yeah,
a lot.
The play calling of the plays they ran well still tells me Luke Getsy knows they can't block. And that's a good thing to know it because Matt Nagy didn't. This is a step forward to know you're bad at something.
I'm not an idiot.
And you're going to have to call plays accordingly. If you can't block them, screen them. Roll them out, waggle them, boot them. There's going to be a lot of that.
Misdirection.
Yep.
Them.
You're going to have to do a lot. Here, what I see that, and that Seattle team sucks, and their pass rush sucks. Teams are going to rush 4 because it's all they're going to need, and everybody else is going to be in short and medium zones. And they're going to say, all right, kid, you've absorbed this new install, and you got everything down. Prove it. With these wide receivers, you find these small windows. Go ahead.
Or, because I was finding myself devising defenses last night. Like, I was scribbling stuff. I'm like, oh, I know what I would do if I were defensive coordinator against the Bears.
You're not going to misdirect me if I'm in zone. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere.
You don't have to send extra to get to Justin Fields with this offensive line, but if I want to speed him up, I kind of know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to mug a gap
right up the middle,
and then I'm gonna send a gap, and see what happens, and see who can turn the blitz out, because it doesn't seem like they're gonna be able to do that
to the tune of "Turn this mother out."
Turn this blitz out.
Twice as strong is going on, and I will. This is a bad football team. They've done some nice things in that I think they're coached.
Yes,
I really
agree
do.
With you.
I think they're coached. They're not good, but they're coached.
We're seeing so far, and it's only through 2 preseason games, and really we're talking about 2 quarters of football with the starters, quote unquote. I think that you can see they are a more buttoned up operation so far under Matt Eberflus than what we've seen the last previous regime.
With the exception of a missed challenge last night.
Yes, and we'll get into that. But I think that they're a more buttoned up overall operation. There's still a talent gap that's going to be difficult for them to overcome in games in 2022. What I do think is interesting is the reaction from Bears fans when they hear it from us. They go, you know what, you guys are right. This team's going to be bad. When you and I take calls on it, guys, the Bears are going to suck, blah, 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 blah. But to hear it on the national broadcast last night, Bears fans were in their feelings big time on social media. Like, wait, you guys can't say that about our pledges? Only we can say that about our pledges. That's what was happening inside of my timeline. People getting mad at the national broadcast. And don't get me wrong, there's something specifically that I'm mad at the national broadcast for, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But Bears fans were waving the flag yesterday. They're like, we're not the worst team in the league. Look at these bums that we're beating. They're the worst team in the league.
We'll see. Little bounces of the prolate spheroid can make the difference between which is the worst team, the second worst team, the third worst team, and all of that. And there's sometimes you get a gift win here or there, and something bounces your way, or the other team's quarterback gets hurt. So I think debating who's the worst teams really misses the point. Both of those teams are bad.
Right. At least the Bears know who their quarterback is going to be. That's good. And it seems like what we've seen with Justin Fields and Luke Getsy is that those two dudes are on the same page. And he gets them. He connects with Fields. I was saying last night that it's amazing to me that it looks as if the 6 weeks that we've seen Justin Fields be coached by Luke Getsy, if you include like mini camps and then put in training camp, he looks like a better football player than the guy that we saw at the end of last season. Now, we'll see how that plays once we get to regular season and teams are game planning against him. And I do think that with the way that this offensive line is constructed, he's going to have some problems and he's going to have to overcome them. But I feel like I'm looking at a more in control and in command Justin Fields. And it's incredible what good coaching does. Or someone getting you, someone understanding what your strengths are, and then saying, let's build off of your strengths. That to me is coaching. It always frustrated me, and I promise that eventually we're going to not do the comparisons. But I just want to point it out to you so that when you're watching it, you see it the way that I see it. Nagy was so dogmatic about his system that everything had to be his system. And I'm sure Getsy has a system that he wants to put in place. But he's looking at the guy and he's saying, hey, this guy's all right. I can do some stuff. I can bend.
His system incorporates,
yes.
It can be built out in another direction. I think I talked about this dynamic several weeks ago. The idea about paring down to build back. And anybody in a new situation, it happens to basketball coaches, anybody designing plays for any sport like that, it gets all excited. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, And then by the end of training camp, you got 3 things you trust. Sometimes 2. I know in basketball, so you got 2 plays. And so what you do is say, all right, this is what we can run. This is what we can block. This is where we know how to stand. Now, from here, here's where we go. And that's where the skill is. It is in being honest about paring down what you can't do and then planting that in the ground, allowing that to grow its own roots down and branches up and maintaining it.
What bothers me, Dan, is to me that's such a great concept. It's an easy concept for a coach. I don't know why there are still coaches who fight that. The idea
because they chase magic. Because they chase, we're so close. I just got to get this one in. It's always the next play. It's always
the next player.
Yeah, it's always the flim-flam of, if I get Nick Foles, it'll all come together. If I get Andy Dalton, it'll all come together. Ooh, wait, I forgot about this. What about this play? Instead of saying, what can we do? Get everybody together. What do we do here? And let's figure it out. Their bread and butter is going to send a message to their early opponents. And divisional opponents right now are watching this, and without skill position players. And they are without skill position players.
Clearly.
It makes it very hard to just say, get that guy the ball. To get it all down the field and get it in the end zone is going to be a chore.
I can't say it enough. I mean, with the obvious lack of talent,
it is an obvious lack of talent.
Yeah, and that'll change over time, but not soon.
I keep thinking about Baltimore and them sitting there and with the 30-second pick and going, Lamar Jackson's out there. Can we? And I'm sitting there and like I imagine them in a room before they make this pick, going, guys, realistically, if we bring Lamar Jackson in here, can we build something with him? Yes, we can do. This is what I want to do. We can do this, 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 and this. All right, we have to fundamentally change who we are offensively. From Joe Flacco to this. Can we do that? Yes. Let's put all of our resources into that. And look at what you end up getting. You end up getting an MVP, a guy that's going to put you in position to be a Super Bowl team because of your willingness to bend. Like that is a special trait of a coach when they understand maybe it isn't the way that I drew it up on the dry erase board, but if we do our job and take the player and say, what is it that you need to be successful? How do you work?
That's the argument for making a special teams coach a head coach.
Agreed. And that guy was a special teams coach. Him understanding this is what I got.
Yeah, give me guys who can run and who can change direction, and I'll figure out where to put them.
Right. This is what I have. let's go play football now. Let's figure out the way to best execute winning the game. And it's like what Billy Ho said to Sidney Dean, where it felt like Matt Nagy wanted to look pretty instead of win games, and maybe it's ugly. Where so far, I get the feeling that with Eberflus, it is like whatever it takes. We'll do it. I do have a system, but I'm going to figure out some stuff beyond that, and I'm going to let my lieutenants do their job.
Well, we got our punt returner, I'll tell you that.
Velus.
Yeah, Velus, your punt returner, and you got to hold on to the damn ball.
Sure. He had a welcome to the NFL moment last night.
Yeah, you got to hold on to the ball, because they're gonna, just like your teammates are trying to get it out during practice, the whole thing. That ball security is first and foremost before he can use those jets, but he's got those jets. That's real.
And wiggle.
That's real. That is, we got the punt returner. So he's got to stay healthy and do that. It does look like Cole Kmet is poised to fulfill some of his expectations. I'm not as high on him as others may be. I think he is a Y tight end. I think he is an inline tight end who's athletic for that position.
Right.
But he's not athletic compared to the U tight end position. He's not the move guy. He's not the Jimmy Graham wide receiver type. He's a Y because he's just not fast enough to be a U. He's strong. He's smart. I think he'll be fine. But I don't see star in there.
I'm with you. There's some Lego man in him where he's strong enough and he can. I love him kind of in some red zone situations where I think he can leverage some of the big, strong aspects of a Y tight end versus a U tight end. I just don't think that it's enough athleticism overall that he's special. I think he can be good, and that's okay.
That's what I mean. I think he's good.
I think he can be good for Justin Fields, but I don't know if I see that next step for him as a tight end prospect. And so they have to probably go find that at some point as well.